All right, so in this video, we're going to go over questions 19 to 27 on the test nav for the math section. So question number 19, the first 5 terms of an arithmetic sequence are 7, 21, 35, 49, and 63. Let Tn represents the nth term of the sequence. What is the value of T25? Okay, so here we're just given a sequence, okay? And so we're just gonna use the calculator just to make our life a little easier. On the calculator, you can go ahead and make tables. So my suggestion is go ahead and plug in the numbers that are given to you, okay? So I just put in table and it automatically gives me a table. The other way you can get a table is by pressing this plus button and then just pressing table, and it will give you a table. All right, so the first number is gonna be 7, so I'm gonna put 1 and then comma 7. Okay, the second number is gonna be 21. The third number is gonna be 35. And here we're just basically plotting points using the table function. The fourth number is 49. The fifth number is 63. Ultimately, we want to know what the 25th number is, but they only gave us, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They only gave us 5 so far, okay? And so what we need to do is find an equation that can give us future points, okay? So we have to use regression analysis for this. So we're gonna go ahead and put in y1, okay? And that's gonna give us all our y values, all the points that we just put in the table. And then to get a regression line, you press this button right here. That indicates to Desmos, hey, I want you to make an equation given these points, okay? And then we're gonna go ahead and put m, and then we're gonna put x, and then 1. x1 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, hey, x1 is going to be my input, and then my y1 is going to be my output. However, the equation for a line is not just y equals, it's not just y equals mx, it's mx plus b. And this is where the calculator comes in handy. So to get b, all you got to do is just put plus b. Okay, the calculator just does the math for you, the algebra for you, and it says that, hey, your slope is 14, so 14x minus 7, because my b is equal to negative 7. This is the equation that we're going to use in order to find what the 25th term is. So if the 25th term is x equals 25, so basically plug in 25 into my equation for a line. 14 times 25 minus 7 will be my answer. Okay, so let's go put that in. 14 times 25 minus 7 is equal to 343. So the answer is B, okay? So you could do it the long way. You could solve it like mentally, but this is the easiest way. Put in a table, use the regression model, and in this case, we're using y equals mx plus b, the template for any line, okay? And then let the calculator just do it for you. And then plug in x equals 25. Okay, so the answer is B. Let's move on to question number 20. Okay, so here we have a word problem. So when it comes to word problems, it's important that maybe you should draw it out, have a visual so that you know what each number is associated with. So at a certain time of day, a flagpole casts a 9-foot long shadow. Okay, so we've got a flagpole and it makes a 9-foot shadow. And we have a nearby fence that's 4 feet and also casts a shadow, and it's 2.4 feet. Okay, so here's my shadow, okay? The question is given that both flagpole and the fence posts are vertical and on level ground, what is the height of the flagpole? So what is this? What is that height? Okay. So this is a ratio question. So we have to establish ratios. How I like to think of it is, what's your height over the shadow? Okay. Well, for the flagpole, do we know the height of the flagpole? No, we're just gonna make it as h. Okay, it's our placeholder, and then the shadow is 9. Now we're gonna use the same proportion for the fence. Did they give us the height of the fence? Yeah, they did. It was 4. And then what was the shadow of the fence? 2.4. Okay, so h over 9 equals 4 over 2.4. Okay. Now, what you need to do is cross multiply to find out what the h is. Okay, so we get 24h equals 9 times 4 is 36. Divide both sides by 24. And then we get, let's see. Ooh, sorry, that's not 24. Divide both sides by 2.4. So make sure you don't lose the decimal. I just lost the decimal there for a sec. So we got 36 divided by 2.4, and we got 15. So my height of the flagpole is 15 feet. Okay, so it is C. Okay, now if I forgot the decimal, let's see, 36 divided by 24, I would have gotten 1.5. And in my mind, you have to think about that logically. Can a flagpole be 1.5 feet? That doesn't make sense. So I must have done something wrong. Okay, so just catch yourself while you guys are doing these questions. Like, don't forget the decimal. All right, move on to the next one. All right, so here's the geometry question. So in a rectangle ABCD shown, segments B, E, and CE are partitioned the rectangle into 3 triangles. Given that DE is equal to 7 centimeters, so where's DE? Oh, there it is, right there. And BE is equal to 26, CE is 25 centimeters. What is the length of BC? All right, BC is going to be this right side, okay? I don't know what that is, but that's what we're trying to find. Oops, let me just. Ooh, that's a bad drawing. Don't worry too much about your drawing. Remember, this ACT is timed, so the important thing is that you know where the given values are. So here's 26, here's 25, and here's 7. We want to know what BC is, this thing right here, okay? So to do this type of question, you need to know the Pythagorean theorem. And specifically, you need to know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared only works for right triangles, meaning that they make that 90-degree angle right here. Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and split this triangle into 2, and when I split it, notice how there's 90 degrees here and 90 degrees there. That makes 2 right triangles. Okay, essentially you need to know what one of the right triangles side is, and then the other right triangle. So here's the first one, the top, that's EB. Okay, and they gave us that this part right here is 26. Okay, I don't know what this is. Okay, but in order to find what 26 is and this, I need 2 things. I got at least the hypotenuse, so maybe there's another right triangle that I need. It looks like they did give us this right here. So let's see, right here is the triangle right below EB. Okay, this is EC. So just, this is that triangle that I just cut into two right triangles, okay? Here's EC. Now, for EC, they gave us one of the angles. It's this one, 7, okay? Because this right here was given, is 7. Well, if this is 7, this side has to also be 7. So we have 7 plus some number makes BC, all right? So let's see, what else did they give us? They gave us that this one right here is 25. Well, I got two values right here that I can find this value, and this is the value for this triangle, so that will help me find ultimately what's left of BC. Okay, so 25 squared is my hypotenuse, so it's my c squared. So c squared is equal to 7 squared plus, let's just make that x squared, because I don't know what that is. So 25 squared, let's see, 25, that's not, 25 squared gives me 625, so 625 is equal to 49 plus x squared. Subtract 49 on both sides, let's see, just subtract 49, we get 576, okay? Let's do the square root of 576, we get 24. So my x value is 24. So this missing thing right here is 24. Now that I have that, I can find what this missing side of BC is. Well, part of it. We already have 7 as part of it. But, so 26 squared is equal to, I chose 26 because it's my longest length, so it has to be my c value for c squared. 26 squared is equal to 24 squared plus, let's do y squared, so I don't confuse it with x, okay? So use a calculator on Desmos. So 26 squared is 676, and then we got 24, I'm just gonna delete this. 24 squared is 576. So if I took the difference between those two numbers, let's see, 676 minus 576, oop, that's a 6. That's exactly 100. Now 100 is equal to y squared. If I square root both sides, my missing value is y. So what is 10 plus 7? That's 17. So the answer has to be C, okay? So let's move on to question number 22. All right, question number 2 is a conversion problem. Now, the ACT will give you basic conversion. So in this case, they gave you a hint. 4 cups is equal to 1 quart, and 4 quarts is 1 gallon. So let's quickly write that as proportions. So 4 cups equals 1 quart. I'm just gonna write it as Q. And 4 quarts makes 1 gallon, okay? So we have a cleaning solution, and the ratio of the concentrated solution to water is 3/40. So 3/40. How many cups of concentrated solution should be added to 5 gallons of water? Okay, so water is 5 gallons. Okay, so for question number 22, you're basically asking yourself, hey, this right here is my solution and this is my water, okay? Because it says solutions to water. So the 2 is effectively this middle part. So solutions to water, okay? What is my water? Well, it's 5 gallons. That's what they gave us, right? So if it's 5 gallons, then we basically have to ask ourselves, how many cups is this going to be? So to get the cups, well, 1 gallon is 4 quarts. So let's multiply that by 4. That gives us 20. There's 20 quarts in 5 gallons, okay? How do I convert that to cups? Well, in each quart, there's 4 cups. So again, multiply that by 4. So we get 80 cups in 5 gallons. Okay, the 80 is the important part. Okay, now how much of the solution do I need? Well, it's 3 to 40. Okay, so if I have 80, what am I missing here? Well, it just looks like to get from 40 to 80, I double. So to get from 3 to this, I just double that. So the answer is B. Okay. You could also do it the math way. So 3 over 40 is equal to S over 80. Okay. Cross multiply, we get 40S equals 240. Divide both sides by 40, and then the solution is going to be 6. So again, same thing. All right, so the answer is B. All right, moving on to the next one. So here is an Algebra 2 question, just because it has the number E. Okay, so remember the number E is about like 2.71 about. Okay, it goes on forever and ever, kind of like pi. Okay, and so let's look at question 23's direction. So let f of t equals 7 times e to the power of 3t plus 1. Which of the following numbers is closest to the value of f of 5? Well, it's just telling you, go ahead and plug that in. So f of 5 is equal to, wherever you see a t is now going to be a 5. Okay, so 7 times e to the power of 3 times 5 plus 1. So this is effectively 7 times e to the power of 15 plus 1. Okay, that's going to be a really, really big number just by looking at it. And so this question essentially is asking you, do you know how to simplify really, really big numbers? And we do. We use exponents. So if I did 7, where's my e? So e is a number, so we're just going to go to ABC. So 7 times e to the power of 15 is a really, really big number, plus 1. Okay, we got 2, 2, 8, 8, 3, 1, 2, 2. Okay, it's a really, really big number, so that's what we got. Now, the important part here is it's asking you go ahead and simplify it, because if you look at our answers, they only have like 1 digit and then times by 10 to the power of whatever. So I want to simplify this. So obviously, it's not -2, D, or B, just because what's my very first number here? 2. So let's just see why it's 10 to the power of 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this big number is the same thing as 2 times 10 to the power of 7. Okay, that's what we do when it's really big. We use an exponent. Oops. So the answer here is C. All right, let's move on to the next one. Which of the following expressions expresses 40 degrees in radians? All right, so here's another geometry question. You have to convert degrees to radians. Okay, so it's going to be radian is equal to the degree times pi over 180. Now, they could reword this to, hey, here's a radian, convert it to a degree. In this case, it would be the degree is equal to radian times 180 degrees over pi. Remember, radians have pi, so if you want to get rid of the radian and turn it to a degree, you put pi in the bottom. In this situation, we want radian, and our radian should have some kind of pi in the answer, okay? It looks like all the answers, A, B, C, and D, also all have pi, so we can't cross anything out right now. So what's my degree? It's 40 degrees, okay? Times that by pi over 180 degrees. Notice how my degrees cancel each other out, and we have 40 pi over 180. Okay. It looks like they simplified it here, so we're just going to go ahead and quickly put that into our problem. So 40 divided by 180 is 0.22222. Okay, that's not helping us. So it's going to have to simplify this the old-fashioned way. So this is 2 over 9, and then the pi is in the numerator. All right, so that's my answer. It is B, okay, for number 24. All right, next one. All right, question number 25 is a really, like, it looks complicated, but it is honestly the easiest question that you will get on the ACT, okay? This is a transformation problem. So let the function f be defined as f of x equals whatever, negative 9x squared in the standard x and y coordinate plane. The graph of y equals f of x undergoes a transformation that results in, you get y equals f of x minus 4. Under this transformation, what happens? Okay, now the reason why I say this is the easiest type of question is because you should know by now, whatever happens inside the room with your x, inside the room with your x is a left and right transformation, right? However, if it's outside, it's up and down. Remember, if you're in a room with your x tells lies. So you do the opposite. So if for example, if I had x plus 4, then this is a transformation left 4, okay? I know the plus 4 on the number line is to the right, but your x is there, so you got to do the opposite, okay? So the same is true for x minus 3. In this situation, we're going to the right by 3. That's the transformation because, again, your x is in the room. Now, in this situation, we just got negative 4. Is it inside or outside the room with your x? In this case, it's outside. So outside, you don't have to worry about people lying because your x is not in the room, okay? So outside is literally, if it's plus, it's up. If it's minus, it's down. So which is the one that goes down by 4? It's going to be, let's see, A. Okay, that's, sorry for the long explanation. I just wanted to show you guys all the different types you might see for transformation. But that's it. Like, I know it's a really long question, but it's just trying to confuse you with a lot of words. All right, moving on to question 26. Here is a question that tests us to see, hey, can you undo this? So for all the positive values, A, B, and C, when 1/2 AB squared plus C is equal to D, which of the following is equal to B? Where is B? Well, it's right here. Ultimately, that just basically says isolate B. Okay, kind of like when you're finding what X is and you want to isolate it. Here, it's saying isolate B instead. So let's start off by going, you work outside and then you can go in. When I mean go in, it's just isolating the variable that you're looking for. So work outside, then in. Okay, so here's one part and here's the other part. Which part do you think is more outside? In this case, it's this plus C. You got to undo that. So minus C on both sides. Okay, now we have this part that we have a 1/2. We're going to get rid of that. So multiply both sides by 2. Okay, so we have AB squared equals 2 times D minus C. All right, again, we want to get B by itself. So divide A on both sides, and we get B squared equals 2 times D minus C over A. Now, what is the opposite of taking something to the power of? Because here, we have B squared. We want to get rid of that exponent. You can go ahead and take both sides to the power of that reciprocal, so 1/2. And remember, taking something to the power of 1/2 is the same thing as square rooting. So B is equal to, well, the 1/2 and 2 just becomes a 1, right? Which we're not going to write down. We just know that there's a 1 in the exponent there. 1/2 is the same thing as square root, okay, when it's in the exponent. So we have the square root of 2 times the D minus C all over A. So which one looks like that for number 26? think that is B. Notice how question 26, a lot of the answers are very, very close. It is not C because it looks like they did distribute the 2. However, they didn't distribute it to the C as well. So that is wrong, okay? And everything else is just wrong. So the answer is B for number 26. All right, moving on to the next one. Here for question number 27, it looks like we're going over probability. So this is a statistics problem. On a trip, 2 sisters counted 1,430 vehicles. They divided the vehicles into categories. We have cars, trucks, and others. Okay, they note the color each as white, black, red, or other, as shown in the table. What's the probability that a randomly selected truck is black? Okay, so something you need to know about probability is the wording is really important. So they ask, out of the selected trucks, okay, trucks, what is the probability that it is black? Okay, so when it comes to probability, it's the number want over the number total. And one way that students get this wrong is they think that this is the overall amount. So some of y'all might be like 1,430. That's what was given to us. However, you need to know we're just interested in the trucks. So what's the total here? Well, it's going to be the total of trucks, okay? And if we look at the total of trucks, right, it's going to be at the very bottom of the, let's see, that's going to be 479. That's how many trucks there are, okay, that they saw. And then the number that we want is, well, how many trucks specifically are black? In this situation, we look at trucks and black. Where do they intersect? Well, they intersect at 31. So the answer is 31 over 479, okay? Please, when it comes to probability, be careful of how it's worded. It's trucks only. It's not total. Now, it might say total, but in this specific situation, it's just trucks, and they want to know how many of those trucks are black, okay? Something to take note about probability. Your probability cannot be over 100%, okay? So if I were to go ahead and put this fraction 31 over 479, it will definitely not be over 100%, because if it was, it's wrong, okay? Probability can only be 100% or lower. So in this case, it's 0.0647, which is about 6.47%, okay? All right, let's move. Oh, this is it. This is the last question for this video.